Chapter 21, A Test of Faith. Monday morning, the first day of school my senior year, I could not get out of bed. I had no energy and every joint in my body ached. For a moment, I thought I was still asleep because I often dreamed that my legs were too heavy to move. I cried out for help. Mama rushed in, wiping her hands on her apron, which was covered with white flowers. Something is wrong with me, I said, trying to hold back my tears. My whole body aches. Calm down, mijo, Mama said. Es una pasadilla. No, it's not a nightmare, Mama, I responded. Everything hurts. Mama sat on the edge of the bed and gently placed her hand on my forehead. You don't have a fever, she said. Let me feel your stomach. It's not my stomach, I said. It's my joints. They hurt when I move. When you were little, the skin on your stomach peeled off like it had been burned. You look like a Skid Rapid, she said worriedly. I want to make sure it's not that again. She pulled back the blanket and lifted my t-shirt. No, it's not. Thank God, she added, sighing in relief. Papa walked in, holding onto the door frame. His sunken eyes were bloodshot and his hair was disheveled. He looked like he had not slept in days. He's sick, Vijo, Mama said sadly, glancing up at Papa. He's been working too hard. He has, Papa answered wearily. This life is killing us all, his eyes watered. He bit his lower lip and walked away. I felt worse when I remembered that I had to clean the Western Union and be at school on time to welcome the incoming freshmen at the school assembly. I have to get up, I said, holding onto Mama's arm. I slowly stood up. I felt dizzy and weak. I took a few steps but had to stop. I could not stand the pain in my joints and muscles. Mama helped me get back to bed. What about the Western Union? I asked. Repeat it and I will take care of it, she said, tucking me in. She brought me a glass of water and 2 aspirins. You need to rest, she said. I slept on and off on that day and night and the following afternoon. Mama drove me to Santa Maria County Hospital. I believe you have monoclueus, the doctor said after examining me. Monocu? Mama asked, frowning and looking at me. I shrugged my shoulders. I did not understand what he meant either. It's a viral infection commonly known as the kissing disease, he added. Mama gave me a funny look. The doctor noticed her and chuckled. It's called that because the disease can be transmitted by kissing, he said. It doesn't necessarily mean your son acquired it by kissing. I smiled briefly at the doctor. There's no treatment for mono, the doctor continued. Get plenty of rest, eat well, drink a lot of water, and take aspirin for your body aches. You should also eat more. You're underweight. I had a hard time staying in bed and resting. I kept thinking about school and work. I hated missing classes and falling behind. I was afraid to lose my job even though Trapina, Roberto, and Mama had covered for me. Still feeling worn out and achy, I dragged myself out of bed Friday morning. I took a long time to get ready. My pain shot up my legs when I moved quickly. I finished cleaning the Western Union after it opened and was late for school. At City Hall, I received a note to go see Mr. Ivan Muse, the assistant principal in charge of student activities. I figured it had something to do with my duties as student body president. I entered his office feeling anxious. Friggy, what happened to you? He said in his Texas drawl. His dark brownish green spot coat matched the color of his eyes. His receding hairline made him look older than he was. Before I had a chance to answer, he added, Why weren't you at the freshman assembly? I have been sick, I answered. I can see that, he responded, looking me up and down. But why didn't you call us to let us know? He asked, raising his voice. I didn't know who to call. Besides, we don't have a phone. I felt embarrassed. I'm sorry. Mr. Muse looked at me in the eyes, and after a long pause, I said, I see. He softened his tone of voice and continued, Well, we waited and waited for you to welcome the freshmen, and when you didn't show up, we asked Ernie D. Gasperis to do it. He did a fine job. I'm glad, I said. I'm sure I couldn't have done as good. As well, he said, correcting me. He must have noticed on my face turning red because he quickly added, Of course you could have done as well. Thank you, I said, feeling less uncomfortable. Let's get together next Monday to discuss the agenda for our first meeting with the delegate assembly, he said. He stood up behind his desk and shook my hand. I was glad our meeting was over. At the end of the day, I grew more and more tired and listless. I was behind in every course. In my PE class, I stood up but sat on the bench because I did not have the energy or strength to work out. To make things worse, I did not see Paul Tuggy all day. After school, I went straight to the public library to study, but I could not concentrate. I kept worrying about all the homework I had to do and little time I had to do it. At 4:30, I drove home to pick up Trampina. He was excited to help me clean the gas company and not have to work in the fields. Every few minutes, I sat down to rest. As I watched him work, I thought about how I took care of him in our carchita when he was a baby while Papa and Mama Roberto picked cotton. As days went by, I could not keep up with my classes. My midterm grades went down and so did my spirit. I dropped my physics class. I became frustrated and angry. Perhaps Papa was right when he said he was cursed. I told Mama one day when I felt like I was giving up. Maybe I'm cursed too. No, mijo, she said firmly. You must not believe that, not for a second. Things will get better for you. You must have faith. When she saw I was not responding, she continued. Remember Torino? What about him? I asked impatiently. Remember when he was 6? The doctors thought he was going to die, but I never believed it. We prayed to Santo Nino di Achota for a whole year, and we got well, I said. Right, Mama said, putting her arm around me. Now, you know what you must do. I began praying on a regular basis once again. Slowly, I began to recover, and after 4 weeks, I felt much better. Trampina continued helping me at the gas company, and Mike Neville gave him 2 places to clean on his own, a coffee shop and a pet store. This brought our family extra income, which we needed badly. Even though Paul Tuggy and I could not study together in the public library after school anymore because he had a job in his church, I managed to bring up my grades and carry out my duties as student body president, which were not many. I met up with student representatives to delegate assembly and tried getting everyone involved in promoting school spirit. It was frustrating at times because students did not want to participate in student government.